Ready to start the show here shortly. Consider this your 2-minute warning. Please enjoy this cleansing music as we prepare ourselves for this wonderful show. I think everybody can see me. Well, hell's bells, we made it. For those of you that could hear the intro song, hopefully you're familiar with that. That was Hell's Bells by AC/DC. And if you did not know that, you're going to really struggle in today's trivia challenges. No, I'm just kidding. There will be no reference to AC/DC anywhere in the trivia. Welcome to the virtual tailgate. My name is Alex Calder, and I am so super thrilled to be here today. Well, I guess not here because I am literally here every day. But virtually speaking, it's great to be here with you, speaking virtually, I guess. Okay, we have got a wonderful program. We've got 4 fabulous speakers who are going to share their insights and their perspective and their time on some pretty tough topics. And it's topics that impact each and every one of us. I'm most certain that by the end of today, you will have some pertinent information that you can take back and share with your organization. Along the way, we are also going to have some fun, not a ton of fun, but we will have some fun. We're going to play some trivia. We've got 8 rounds of trivia with some fabulous prizes that are graciously provided by a couple of our sponsors, Beltman Relocation Group and Quicken Loans. And we're going to play round 1 here in about 1 minute. So hopefully you brought your brains and or your thinking cap with you. At the tail end of the event, we will open up the gateway and let everybody in so we can all see each other, which should be a hoot, or I guess at a minimum, a hootenanny. And okay, so real quick, just a couple of quick notes. We can't see you, we can't hear you, but you do have the ability to communicate. There's a couple of buttons that should be, and most likely everybody knows this. There should be a couple of buttons down at the bottom. There's a Q&A button for you. So if you have a question of one of the speakers or of one of the panelists, use that Q&A function. And then for the trivia, you're going to use the chat function. So I want everybody to open up their chat box right now because we're getting ready to do that. We're going to have the first question here literally in seconds. I want you to check right above where you're going to type the message. It should say to all panelists or to all panelists and attendees. Make sure it's set to one of those two. So if it's currently set to a colleague or a friend, make sure you flip it to all panelists and attendees. So it is trivia time. And when I say it's trivia time, there's going to be a little, where's my trivia book at? Oh, there it is. There's going to be a little screen pops up, looks just like this. That's when you know that there will be some kind of a cool prize on its way. There is a total of 8 prizes, so not everybody's going to win a prize. If you're sore about that, you can reach out to me after the fact and we'll figure out a way to get you a prize, regardless of whatever that is. It won't be to the magnitude of what you potentially are competing for today, though. You can only win one time, so keep that in mind. And I don't know what the prizes are. I don't know the order of the prizes, but I've seen them all and they're all super cool. So here we go with question number 1. And this is by far the easiest one. However, it will be impossible for some of you. What film won the Oscar for Best Picture at the 2020 Academy Awards? I don't see any coming across yet.
There's 2.
Okay, so the first one, oh my goodness, it looks like it was Karen Bond.
That is true.
Jiminy Christmas, and she's one of the presenters. I knew somebody would get that immediately. It literally had to have been seconds between Karen and Tracy. Whitney, you were a close third. Okay,
so Tracy, if I'm not allowed to play. Am I allowed to play?
You are absolutely allowed to play.
Okay.
Okay, so Lisa with Quicken Loans, please tell Karen what she has won.
Hi, Karen. You have won an officially licensed NFL Unisex Koozie Variety Pack brought to you by Quicken Loans. Congratulations.
Yay!
Yay. Okay, unshare there. There we go. Okay, we're back. So that's how the trivia works. And by the way, that was by far the easiest one that you're going to have. So, and I guess I was looking at the wrong thing, but I did see that Karen won that, which is amazing because Karen is actually our first speaker and we're going to hop right into that. So if we could, let's highlight Karen. There she is. Oh my gosh, you got all your Chief stuff. I love it. It makes me feel like I'm not alone here today.
I need another koozie.
You do need another.
I do need another koozie. I'm very excited. So Tracy, you're going to come to Kansas City and we're going to try these koozies out and make sure they work okay.
That's very good. So Karen, oh my gosh, travel, not only travel, but travel during a pandemic. That's a tough topic. And I guess we're probably all just hoping that you brought your magic wand with you, or the like. You know, travel impacts each and every one of us, regardless of what your role is, and whether it's relocation or day-to-day business travel makes no difference, or the myriad of different reasons that companies travel. It impacts us all. And I know just based on your leadership role there at HNTB with travel, and your current role as president of the Kansas City chapter of GBTA, which is the Global Business Travel Association. You know, I was really just reaching out to you, see what you're seeing out there. And I'm going to give you 100%, creative control on which way you want to take it, whether you want to talk about things at HNTB or you want to talk about what you're seeing in the industry. I'm going to kind of just leave that up to you. So Karen, take it away.
Okay, I certainly will. Alex, thank you so much for including me on this. This is a fantastic opportunity just to be with some colleagues and have a good time while doing it. So thank you for this. Unfortunately, I did not bring my wand. It is in the shop and I'm not getting it back until 2021. So I did bring the next best thing, which is this. And it's so that I can sweep 2020 right out the door. So it's good. It's the next best thing.
Okay.
So, good afternoon, everybody. It's wonderful being here and being in Chiefs Kingdom. If you couldn't tell, we kind of like the Chiefs around here. I would love to be saying I'm holding a cold beverage that's of the adult variety, but you have to hug me because I gave blood today. So if you have a chance, please donate blood just because there is a pandemic, there's still a huge need for blood donors because people still have illnesses. So it's my PSA moment. Travel is a interesting word this right now. And for a company that has over $10 million in spend just in the three segments of air, hotel, and car, it's one of those that's obviously near and dear to my heart and a lot of others. And the good, I've kind of got the good, bad, and the ugly. And Alex said that he'll come on and just cut me off if I'm talking too much. So bear with me. But being that we are such a large company, we have over 3,200 employees. We have probably 1,200 travelers in a good year. We did have to put a travel ban in place come April, May timeframe where even though we are considered essential because we are one of the the dominant U.S. transportation provider, we're still essential. So our doors never truly closed, but we did have to go on a very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm totally just drawing a blank here. But basically it was very limited. It was a very limited amount of travel that was being done. At one point, I did see numbers that went to 100% down, right? So you can't get any further down than nobody's traveling. As of July 16th, we did open up that travel ban and said, this is essential travel only. It is client driven, meaning if our clients want to see us, we are going to go to them. But because our clients are mostly DOTs and a lot of federal places, they're not really wanting to see anybody right now. So it's been challenging. But again, there's no conferences, there's no internal office to office meetings that are happening. We're really pushing those off until 2021. We have one here in Kansas City that's also very near and dear to my heart, the HNTB National Toll Academy that comes in every June. We expect them. And 2020 June, we had to push to November. Then we pushed, because we obviously thought, oh, this is going to be done before fall. And when it didn't happen, we have now pushed it out till March, thinking, okay, now it's going to be done. It's really going to be done. And we met just last week and said, we're still not confident enough in getting our travelers where they need to be and meeting in large groups. So we've now pushed it out back to June of 2021. Fingers crossed, it's going to happen. So that does bring me into kind of the traveler confidence that we are lacking right now as a industry. And it's us that are going to make this difference. And I say that because I have to travel. When I do travel, I want to feel comfortable and confident in my surroundings. By doing that, it could be as simple as taking that first plane out during the day. Yes, it's painful. There's reasons that they call it the early birds, right? And if you're not an early bird like me, it's a little painful. But I can guarantee you that the plane has been sanitized. It's sat overnight. It's, probably the cleanest you are ever going to see it. And the next cleanest flight is going to be the one right after that, because that's something that the partners of travel are really trying to push right now is their promise and their responsibility within this pandemic. So they are, I'm sure you've seen it all over the news. You can go to any of their websites on what each airline, what each car rental is doing, what each hotel brand. It's amazing. So I really have to give props to all of those that are on the supplier side, because they're really trying hard to keep everyone safe and comfortable at the same time. Now, that does not mean that I do not travel with hand sanitizer, extra masks, possibly some gloves if I have to run a subway or anything like that. But it is something that I think is getting there. So we can see a lot of the professionals are starting to talk about the rebound of the pandemic. Post-COVID is a buzzword that I'm hearing. We're hoping that that is the case. Again, I tell everybody, wash your hands. Just wash your damn hands. That's like the number one. It's pretty simple, but you'd be surprised even in today's society how many people I see that just don't. So that's, if I could wear a t-shirt, if somebody wants to make me a t-shirt, I'll wear it. But I think that that's what we have to get to. And I think it's getting there. And I think it takes all of the industry to really, chime in and talk it out, and talk about the traveler experiences. That's one thing that I'm reaching out to people today, that are traveling. How was your experience? What are you seeing? How are you feeling? Because these are things that I can't control, but I have, my partners in place and I have trust in them. I have to. And then I'm getting feedback from the people that are literally boots on the ground and are traveling, and they are very impressed with how the different brands are working, keeping everybody safe, putting seals on their doors, things like that. As it relates to, and I'll make this really quick because I feel like Alex is probably going to come on here at any minute and give me the gong. But I think as it directly relates to like a relocation, I'm actually seeing that piece of our essential travel moving. That is happening. People are going to project sites and they want to stay. And sometimes it might be easier in the long run to get, a unit that's going to be there for quite a while versus a hotel that's going to have people, the revolving door, if you will. So I do have good hope, great optimism for the travel industry. We might be down, but we're not out. And it's not just travel managers, travel buyers, it's all of us. And so I think that in conclusion, besides, wash your hands, go Chiefs, just being positive and talking to people about their experience and then share those experiences. The more that I think people hear others traveling, leisure is the best, it's also the best thing for the soul, but it's going to drive our corporate business right afterwards. So with that, Alex, thank you so much again for including me, and I cannot wait to tailgate some more. So back to you, Mr. Alex.
That was so awesome. And wouldn't that be so much funner if we were in a crowded parking lot somewhere and could spend, cook some brats and burgers and see all the smoke in the air, blah, blah, blah. Karen, that was very insightful in it. And I knew it the second that I asked you to talk about that piece that you'd hit a home run. You brought up some really good points. So number one, you got the willingness of the traveler, right? Is the traveler willing to go out there? And it sounds like they kind of are in a lot of cases. And then number two, it's travel's in that controlled environment, right? So everybody's on guard, just like you're saying, right? When people are traveling, they're looking over their shoulder, they're staying away, staying 10 feet away from everybody. They've got their hand sanitizer and their handy wipes, and and the planes are spotless, and the hotels are spotless, and the apartments are spotless, and the rental cars are spotless, and there's less lines. I mean, I think the media is making it out to be more of a villain than it is. What scares me is those times where I'm not on guard, right? Because they're friends of mine. I know them. I'm going to go sit around the fire pit, or I'm going to go have brunch with them somewhere. And because they're a friend of mine, I feel like they don't have anything that I can catch. But I'm 100% on guard when I'm going into, amongst strangers. So Karen, I so appreciate that.
You're quite welcome. I have to tell you, I tell all my friends that I must be pickled, because if I'm sitting in a bar and I'm having an alcoholic beverage, I must be safe. Yeah. I have enough alcohol going through my system that, I'm going to kill any germs that are around me. So
that is so funny. You would be surprised how many times Miss Herrenbond has made me chuckle, by the way.
That's what I'm hearing.
Okay. Next up on the speaker front, we have the legendary Mr. David Levitt with GTN, the Global Tax Network. Hi, David.
Afternoon. Hello. How are you?
And I was, is that a soccer jersey? What kind of?
No, this is an England rugby jersey. So it's a proper man's game, Alex. We don't wear pads. We actually just go in with, shoulders and muscles. So yeah, it's an England rugby jersey. We're doing all right. We're second in the world, second ranked team in the world at the moment. So I can live with that.
Okay, well, that's very good. I think we're kind of second rank. The Chiefs are kind of second rank too. Well, props for the jersey. I'm going to give you 2 bonus points
Oh, thank
for bringing the rugby jersey to a football party. And then because you got some red in there, I'm going to give you 3 more bonus points because that kind of looks like Chiefs colors. So you have 5 bonus points, which puts you miles ahead of our first speaker. She scored a 0. No.
I want the koozies. I want the koozies. I want the Chiefs koozies though. So I'll swap you the 5 points, Karen, if that works.
That's so funny because I didn't even think about the bonus point field until just now. So Karen, we may come back to you so that you can get a bonus point or 2.
Okay.
So gosh, David, oh boy, welcome to 2020, right? This environment has obviously created some things on the tax front, right? Some implications there. And to boot, we have a new administration looming. Both of those are impactful to your world. So really, I want to give you the floor. I've listened to you a couple times and I learned something new every single time. So I really want you to just kind of walk us through what's going on out there.
Great, thank you very much. Just so everyone knows, I'm in New Jersey. I'm not actually in England at the moment. Just in case anybody's. I've been working on my English accent. I'm from New Jersey originally. The accent is still taking a little time. Hopefully it's coming off okay at the moment. I have got a few slides. So I wouldn't be a tax accountant if I didn't have a few slides to share. And there is a reason behind that. It reminds me of what I need to say as well. Alex, 2020, what a year. It all started so well. And then around sort of mid-March, with all the lockdown and the travel bans, etc., that just transformed really the way that mobility tax had to operate and what we were looking at and some of the issues that we were facing. So I'll spend a little bit of time going through that, then talk about some things that section 139, you might be aware of this. This might help some of your businesses and certainly around the disaster relief and some payments which may be tax-free. As you say, you'll touch on some of Biden's tax proposals, very much this stage information only. And then thinking more into 2021 can't come soon enough, in my opinion, but some things to walk away with. So, as I said at the start of the year, everything was very much status quo. I'm glad you didn't play them earlier and you stuck with AC/DC. That was a good choice. But we were very much looking forward to another good year. And then we really had to pivot, and we saw companies really, as a result of lockdown, look at different ways in which their workforce had to operate. And this presented a number of challenges. I'm sure you've all lived this for the last 8 or 9 months, so I'm not going to spend too long on this, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the trends and some of the actions that some of the companies we've been working with have really sort of focused on. And that is very much around, first of all, that sort of reaction phase of, well, where is everyone and what are they doing and are they safe and all those sorts of angles. So we spent a lot of time working with companies on that sort of data piece of basically working out where people were. Some were stranded, some had relocated to new, safer locations, whether that was domestically or internationally. And as a result of that, we then started to work with companies on the exciting world of tax, which I know everybody, that's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about your remote workers is tax. And it certainly should be if it isn't already. So we think about tax and payroll and social security, and then also the sort of other sort of issues that come with that, immigration, employment law, and corporate tax as well, the entity aspects of it. So we've been working with a lot of companies in that sort of remedial work, really sort of working out where they are, where their employees are, and what that means to them from a corporate perspective, and then overlaying that with various sort of COVID-19 reliefs, whether that's state-driven, federal-driven, or international. So very complex, and I would say there's not a cookie-cutter kind of answer. It really depends on a lot of the factors for those individuals. We also saw the rise of different working styles, and I think we've all had to cope with that, and that's created a number of challenges around policies and processes internally. You know, we're seeing the rise of this sort of permanent remote worker, the temporary remote worker, someone who just goes and spends, oh, I want to spend 3 months in on a beach in Brazil, and I'll work from there instead. You know, those sorts of things. And then even the permanent remote worker in multiple locations. So someone who's sort of hired and maybe traveling around, more that sort of virtual assignment, those sorts of things. Commuters, you know, they still exist, and we're certainly seeing some companies sort of address that issue now that they're going back into the office. And then also this concept of working from anywhere, which is very much a new phrase that's sort of been born this year, very much technology driven. So we're seeing all these different types, and each one presents slightly different challenges and results. And that's why we're seeing very much a shift in the market around just sort of trying to put certain employees in certain buckets. So it makes it a little bit easier to understand what the challenges are and what needs to be done. Just very briefly, what we've been helping with and what companies have been really focused on is obviously resolving those issues. Some are taking the stance of, it's 2020, we're just going to let it go and not change too much. Others have gone right at the opposite end of the spectrum and are very much focused on, we're going to make sure we're absolutely watertight. Others are looking at more senior individuals, more, you know, the sort of VIPs, those with more, you know, sort of substantial jobs or important jobs within the business that may create issues by virtue of their role and responsibilities. So making sure they're right for payroll, particularly. I mentioned policy reviews. Those people going through policy reviews at the moment, this pop-up policy idea, which was very much focused on just sort of a temporary policy whilst we get through this sort of period of disaster. Looking at a process for claiming, you know, for wanting the employees to actually engage employee-driven remote working. Do they have to opt in? What do they have to do to actually, you know, seek approval? And ultimately, that's driving the policy around: is it anywhere? Is it truly work from anywhere, or is it you can work from anywhere as long as it's in the state you're employed in, the country you're employed in? So again, lots of sort of focus points around that. Payroll issues. Payrolls need to catch up. We know that there's some real challenges with payroll, just around the technology. People know the issues, but it's actually getting the technology to marry up to the actual scenarios. And then ultimately, almost looking towards next year, and when people file their tax and tax returns for 2020, what's that going to look like? There might be some nasty surprises. States are desperate for cash, so there may be some more audits coming through there. So that's some of the trends we've seen this year. I'll touch very briefly on the CARES Act, and I know there's another bill going through at the moment. We haven't quite got all the details for that, but there is presumably more provision for some sort of relief. So the $1,200 checks are effectively a loan against your 2020 tax return. So that might be, we've yet to see where that lands in terms of will it be clawed back or not. But very much the act was written in a, you know, they're basically advancing you $1,200 so far this year. Within the IRC code, section 139, there is a provision for payments to qualify under disaster relief terms and provisions there, which ultimately means that employers can make certain payments to employees that cover necessary personal, family, living, and funeral expenses incurred as a result of a qualified disaster. So we are in a qualified disaster, and we're still in that. That was declared in March. So again, and I'll share these slides with you afterwards, Alex, so you can send around to the group. These are some of the examples that you might want to consider. We know a number of employers have made payments to employees within this space. There are some provisions, there's some tax code around it, so do get advice before looking at it. But again, it's an opportunity to give something back to employees if that's what you want to do as a business, and equally some of the expenses that maybe you've incurred as an employer, perhaps relocating individuals back to the US. almost there, Alex. I'm conscious of you cutting me off. So just in terms of Biden's plans, again, the devil's in the detail. These are very much the headlines at this stage. His plans are very much focused on increasing federal tax revenues, and it's very much sort of looking at the wealthy and increasing tax rates for the wealthy, and really rolling back some of the provisions that were put in the 2017 Tax Act that is currently in place. So a return to the tax bracket of 39.6% for incomes over 400,000 for married, filing joint. We're still waiting to see what that would be for married, filing separate or single, and some of the other positions you can take. But there's very much a return to that top rate. He's also written a provision in around long-term capital gains for individuals that have income over $1 million being taxed at the ordinary income rate. So that is a change from the long-term rate currently, which is 20% plus the 3.8% for the investment tax as well. So you know that is could be a substantial cost as well, just to bear in mind. And they're also looking at capping the amount of 401k contributions that can be taken as a relief, again based on tax bracket actually. So more on that to come, but they're the headlines. I would say, if anything at this stage, there might be some planning to do in the next 22 days. So again, if think about perhaps accelerating some payments or deductions into this tax year just to take benefit of a higher tax rate next year. So things to think about there. So with my crystal ball looking forward to 2021, we really do hope, as Karen was saying, that there's a opening up of movement of the workforce and people generally, just to help us in this sort of business. I think businesses will continue to embrace that remote working and working from anywhere. I think we'll see a return to some sort of normality. Business travel will come back, but I think that mix of employment options for the workforce will diversify, and there'll be, that will present its own challenges internally for businesses. It goes without saying, I know this has been mentioned many years, and for many years, data, access to data, tracking of employees, and connecting different parts of the business through travel data, expenses, and all those sorts of things will become more important, I think, to make sure the company is compliant from a tax and payroll perspective. And right now, I think there's two things to do. First of all, it's year end, and I know you're probably all going through that. So again, think about, are there any things we can be doing right now, just before year end, to get in place around payroll? And then equally, with an eye to next year, what's the future state? What can you do to put in place? And you're wagging my finger at me, and I finished. There you go.
That is, David, that is so funny, because we didn't practice. We choreographed the entire production here, obviously, spent countless hours and many weekends and whatnot putting this all together, but we never practiced the cue thing. And I was just waving my finger and you saw it, which was amazing. I was like, oh my goodness, we got, we did that without even rehearsal. David, that was absolutely enlightening, which I knew it would be. And I'm sure there's probably some people on the line here that have some follow-up questions. If you don't know how to reach out, if you don't know how to reach David with GTN, please feel free to shoot me a note and I'll connect you with him. We also have Eric Lopp on the line with us, and GTN. Gosh, you guys were gracious enough to provide the CRP and GMS credits for today. I know a lot of people are kind of relying on that as well, so I appreciate that. And David, thanks so much for the insight. I got one last comment, which is, you were at 5 bonus points, but looking at your wavy hair, full head of wavy hair, I've decided to deduct 6 points.
Oh, right. No, thank you. That's great.
So that catapults Karen back to the lead.
Amazing.
And myself, I got to wear a cap because, number one, I've been cutting my hair myself. I don't know if anybody else has been doing that. And I am having a really bad hair day. So that was part of my reasoning for the big, massive deduction of bonus points. Okay, it is trivia time. Goodness gracious, trivia time. This is by far the most confusing one, so bear with me. You'll probably want a piece of paper and a pencil or some kind of writing utensil, just so that you can kind of get this down. Okay, so that's funny because I can't see anybody. I can't tell if people are catching what I'm saying here. Okay, on a piece of paper, we have 4 different travelers. We have David. You could call him David Livet, and he's going to be traveling out of Newark. He's going to be flying out of Newark. We have Rachel. She will be traveling out of or flying out of the Twin Cities, MSP, Minneapolis, St. Paul. We actually have 2 Rachels from Minnesota on the line with us today. Hi, Rachel. We have Carolyn. She will be flying out of Denver. And she is with Quicken Loans. You're going to hear from Carolyn here pretty quick. She's going to be calling up a prize here before too long. And then we have, actually, our other traveler did not show up. Well, we're going to pretend like he's here. We have Kevin with Boeing. Kevin was supposed to be here, but he's AWOL, so maybe he's going to miss his flight. Kevin is going to be flying out of St. Louis. So hopefully everybody's got that. David flying out of Newark, Rachel out of MSP, Carolyn out of Denver, and Kevin out of St. Louis. That is going to be the first half of your answer. Okay, that's why I'm having you write this down. The second half of your answer is going to be the destination city, which is not where they're flying from. It's where they're flying to. Here's your question. Get ready. I'm going to open up the chat box so I can actually see it this time. Okay, here we go. Assuming that they are each one of these travelers is on a nonstop flight, which one will have the longest flight time to the Super Bowl 55, which is to be held in this city? Which one of those 4 travelers is going to have the longest flight time to Super Bowl 55, which is hosted by what city? Use your phone if you need to. Otherwise, we're going to be here all day. Whitney's got half of the answer. It's what travelers going to what city? It's a 2-part answer. Madison, you were very close. Bing, 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 bing. We got a winner. I knew that it would take only so much time. And it was Amy Peterson with Hutamaki. Jiminy Christmas, you did it. We're going to rub that in Mike's face, Mike Dellick's face. Okay, so Mr. Kirk Spriggs with Beltman, will you please tell Amy what she won?
You bet. Hi, Amy. Congratulations. You have won an official NFL soft side cooler. Holds 16 cans, so hopefully that'll help keep you hydrated during the pregame and those long games. So again, congratulations.
Awesome. Very good. Okay, well, that was fun. That was super fun. And Amy, I always knew that you were one of the smart ones. As a matter of fact, Mike was telling me the other day, he said that Amy thinks she's so smart. So I just knew that, oh no, it didn't come out quite like that. You know what I'm trying to say. Anywho, okay, we are there's Amy with a big EA. Congratulations, Amy. I knew you could do it. And I am going to rub it in Mike's face, by the way. Okay, next up, we have Madison Faring with Leggett and Plaid. Hi, Madison.
Hi, everybody.
You do get 1 bonus point, so you've now got into the lead with the Kansas City Chiefs shirt. That is so awesome. So, Madison, kind of your talk today is that role of relocation and hiring and recruiting. And obviously that playing field looks a little different as well today. I don't know if if it becomes easier or less competitive or more competitive or all the same. But anyway, just wanted to hear some of your thoughts, some of your perspective, kind of just in that whole arena. And again, I'm going to give you the same thing. Yeah, you got complete creative control, so take it down whatever path you want to. And I guess my cue of me waving my finger will stop that. So
Watch for it.
so
hopefully I
Matt,
can
take it
still
away.
talk about relocation. I have all the flights to and from and all that in my brain. So that was a good question. Complicated, confusing, good. So yeah, like Alex said, I was asked to talk about relocation as a part of hiring and a little bit just about the hiring markets. And first and foremost, I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to visit with everybody today. This is just really exciting for me. This is one of my first sort of speaking opportunities in a webinar format like this. And so really excited to put on something other than like, well, I guess this is still a t-shirt, but like a specific t-shirt. So very excited to be here today. So a little bit of background, like Alex mentioned, mentioned, my husband's name is actually Alex, so I'm a little bit biased to that one. So I am excited to talk about relocation as part of the hiring process. Our relocation program does actually sit in the talent acquisition arena of human resources. And so I do have sort of a front row seat to the hiring process throughout my time in relocation. And so, but it wasn't always that way. And even, a few years ago, it wasn't the way it is now in terms of communication with business partners and how we work with the different processes and how we've merged them. And so that's a little bit about what I wanted to touch on today, because I think no matter where your relocation program is housed or how many people are involved in it, for me and my experience, it's just me. So that makes it a little bit more simple. But I think, there's still a lot of really good opportunities to weave the two together. So I think first and foremost, a little bit about just our hiring process in general. We give a lot of sort of credit to our talent advisors, is what we call them, our recruiters. And so they work with a lot of different business partners across a wide variety of our groups. And I should back up and say also, I work with an international manufacturing company. And so we have several different sort of focuses of different manufacturing components. And so there's a lot of different business groups that we work with that are part of our company that have very different processes from each other. And so that makes it fun. And so really what we found is just working with the talent advisors, even though my role isn't necessarily like focused in the talent advising arena most of my day, I do get to work a lot with them. And anytime they have meetings about their process, whether or not it includes relocation, I have a seat in those conversations to give my insight wherever I can. And so that also gives me insight into what their process is and how I can help from a relocation standpoint. And so also our operations do have a lot of decision-making authority. And so usually the way it works, what we've worked out now, really from having a few relocations gone wrong midway through and jumping in and having some learning opportunities and rebuilding our processes. Anytime that we have somebody who we're going to move forward to an in-person or virtual in-person interview with, who we think will need to be relocated, our talent advisors will actually loop me in, and I'll go ahead and start having conversations with the hiring and operations team at that point. So whether or not we move forward to final offers, we go ahead and start having those conversations so that they can include relocation in their decision-making. From there, they do have a lot of authority, they being the operations managers, about the type of program or package really that we offer and the budgets and things of that nature based on my guidance. But they do have the final say. And so that's something where we really work hand in hand. And then at the point of the offer letter, we do have relocation verbiage that's included in there. So our programs are weaved all the way through from when we first talk to somebody and think we're going to move them all the way until somebody is offered, and then they get handed over directly to me once they accept, and we start moving through the process that way. And so it really has been pretty seamless since we've started integrating to that level of depth. And so that's something that I've appreciated on my side, and it's made the process a lot more smooth for the candidates as well once we have all of our ducks in a row right from the get-go. That all to say, like I mentioned, there's always probably going to be some black sheep and some groups that go off and do their own thing. Like I mentioned, we work with a lot of different business partners that have different processes. And so a lot of times what I found, and you know, the question that some of you might be asking is like, great, you're already in talent acquisition. How do I get conversations started? So for us, we get conversations started by relocations gone wrong in many cases. So over the years, I've had some opportunities to jump in and clean some things up and really be able to help people understand what we do and why. So that next time when they have a need, they know immediately who they need to reach out to so they don't have another bad relocation. And so, you know, I think that's honestly been one of the most opportune ways to start having some of those conversations. And now we're to the point that we have specific business partners and human resource partners rather in different areas of business. So that anytime anything gets initiated, it has to be approved up through them, and they always know to loop me in. And so it works very similarly in all of the different business groups that we work with. No matter what their hiring process is, there is always a trigger point where if there's a relocation, they have to loop me in. And so that's helped save a lot of effort on their side and stress and on my side. And I haven't had to clean up as many messes, so it's worked out for everybody. So I think, you know, for the most part, that's the biggest piece. It's just looking for those opportunities to be in communication. And so always looking to break down barriers. And I would credit a lot of that too to the talent advising group that I am partnered up with, really who aren't interested in just responding, but they're really interested in going out and seeing where the needs are and seeing how they can help and making a relocation program a really key piece of what our talent acquisition group has to offer. From both a benefit standpoint for everybody, but also just to ease burdens off of our employees and the business partners. So I think that's basically my experience on that standpoint. And my experience is the only one I have. So that's what I'm sharing today. And I hope it's relevant to everybody. I know there was also a question about just the general job market, like you said, Alex. And so I'll touch on that too. Just briefly, though, because I recognize that there are a lot of differences between industries and between even pathways in the industry. So I know my perspective coming into, you know, recognizing there's going to be a pandemic, it's probably going to impact the economy. I really expected hiring to kind of go back to the place that it was a few years ago, where we really had an opportunity to kind of pick the cream of the crop. There are a lot more applicants than there were positions for us to fill. And then right now, and you know, the past couple of years, really, it's been more of a position where we've had to be creative and really seek out candidates and really do some hard efforts our team has with recruiting. And so I think, you know, from that perspective, we kind of expected to have a little bit of an easier time with more candidates that are skilled and looking for roles than roles we had to fill. I wouldn't even necessarily say that's the case. And in our experience, the pool hasn't been flooding over of candidates in the past few months. And so, you know, I think there's a few different pieces of that. You know, potentially there's a lot more remote options now. And so job markets, I think in some extent are kind of blending depending on fields that people are in. There's more competition. So for anybody who doesn't know, I'm based here out of the Joplin, Missouri area. We have locations all over the world, but a lot of our hiring is in sort of small rural towns. And so that being said, you know, sometimes it can be really difficult to find the talent that we need in these locations. But the remote actually makes it easier for us if we're able to make positions remote long term, because now we can look into other markets like Kansas City, Chicago, other areas where people may not want to move to Joplin or to whatever little town we're based in for that role, but they can do their job remotely from wherever they're at. And so, you know, I think markets are going to be like sort of merging a little bit and getting a lot more competitive even than they have been in the past. And so, like I said, I think it's also specific to just industries and paths, specific career paths, but that's what we've been seeing. So still having to get creative with recruiting. So I guess it's keeping our talent advisors active and busy, but you know, finding really good opportunities. So that's it.
Oh my gosh, Madison, that was phenomenal.
Thank you.
That was really good. And I was thinking about, you know, how instrumental you probably were in helping get that glue, right? So bringing talent and HR and mobility and operations, kind of putting them all on the same page, which is no small task. And then, the other sense I got from that is, regardless of what today's environment looks like, you still got to rely on your fundamentals, right? What's gotten you to where you are, right? So it's doing the same blocking and tackling,
Absolutely.
doing those same things that you've historically done, regardless of what that landscape looks like. So Madison, that was incredible. And I probably could have listened to that for another 20, 30 hours or so. And you had mentioned that was one of your first like webinar type things. I'm sure you got a whole string of those coming. So
It's been fun.
Yeah, wowzer. I'm giving you one more bonus point, by the way. So now you're up by 2 on Karen. And yeah, anywho. Okay, it is time for our next presenter, our next panelist, which is Mr. Terrence Norman. Terrence, how the heck are you?
Doing great.
We lost you for a second at the start, but we got that all fixed.
We certainly did.
That's good. It is so good to see your smiling face here, and that looks like a backwards K-State. It looked like you.
That's a K-State shirt. No, actually, it's Kennesaw State. So I'm based here in Metro Atlanta, specifically Marietta, Georgia, just down the road from Kennesaw State. So flaunting my Kennesaw State shirt here.
Okay, well, we will let you do that. We're going to virtually pretend that says K-State for those of the K-Staters on the line with us. Terrence, it is such an honor to have you here with us. And I know that for those of you that don't know, Terrence is with Burla Carbon. Burla Carbon is a ginormous company, over 120,000 employees. Terrence heads up the HR efforts here in the Americas, which is no small feat. Obviously can help lend some insight to today's conversation. And Terrence, I'm just going to let you kind of go whatever direction you want to go. And we're excited to hear from you, me especially. So take it away.
Thanks a lot, Alex. Appreciate it. And you took the words right out of my mouth. Madison, you did a phenomenal job. I'm sitting here still in amazement that was your first virtual meeting. So pretty much like Alex said, you've got many more of those that come. So kudos to you, and you make a very hard act to follow. So again, thanks for the invitation, Alex. Joining you again from Burla Carbon, like Madison's company, we also are an international manufacturing company based throughout the globe. So, relocation is important to me. It's important to our company. Extremely important. But just to give you a little bit of background on why I am who I am, how I manage, and what I believe in, it goes all the way back from how I was raised to actually playing sports in high school. So I lettered in 3 sports in 4 different years: baseball, football, and track and field. So I say that to say this: the team philosophy is ingrained in me. It's the only approach that I know to managing, to the way I think, to the way we get results in whatever it is we attempt to get results in. And so with that, I've spent the last 32 years not only coaching others, but building teams. So my whole point to each of you is to put a major emphasis on teams and building teams within your organizations, because it's paramount for your success in your organization, as you know. With employees in your organization, we too, like many of you, say that employees are our greatest asset within our company. And that's no small feat. Many companies say that, but many companies come to a different realization when they have to act it out and actually prove that employees are their most important asset within the organization. And so that's why in our efforts, we have to build partnerships with organizations, contractors, and vendors who will also help us grow that credibility to prove to our employees that the team philosophy and how important they are to us is paramount within the organization. So thinking along the lines of third parties, for example, One of those 100 ways to prove the credibility is to choose third parties, contractors, vendors who also believe in the same philosophy that your company believes in. That is paramount in any organization. They must align with your culture, your practices, your beliefs. If not, they're doomed for failure. And ultimately, as you very well know, your organization fails if your third parties fail. If you find yourself spending more time reacting to getting results in your relocation process, as opposed to being proactive and getting it right up front, something's wrong. That should be a litmus test for you. So do a lot of planning up front in vetting your third-party vendors to make certain you pick the ones that are best fit for your organization. Interlink, for example, we entered into a relationship with them 12 years ago. I've been with the organization 14 years ago. And interestingly, I inherited another company when I started with Bureau of Carbon, a company who had been the relocation vendor for many years prior to that. And when I came on board, one of the things we did was change the vision of the company. You know, we wanted now to become more nimble. We wanted flexibility in our operations and decision making. We wanted customization. And specifically why? Because we're more of an entrepreneurial type company. And so with that, you know, we looked at the actual relocation company that we had, which was not getting us results. And so we made the transition after vetting Interlink relocation. It was a great fit for our organization. So from that implementation or inception, we came away with 3 different plans. Entry-level plan, mid-tier, and a top-tier plan, very much like many of those that you probably have, a buyer value option type plan. And in those plans, we came away with developing policies which would serve as guidelines to manage our business. Well, you can develop policies only to a certain extent. As you very well know, there are so many scenarios which occur, which make it difficult to strictly follow a policy 100% of the time. There's always that gray level within some type of scenario. So that's where, when I said earlier, we needed a customer or company that could help us with flexibility and being nimble and customizing. That's what I mean. How do you make that decision that's a first-time scenario that you still need results based on, or need results, but yet there's nothing you can, refer to in a policy to get an answer on? So therein line is the relationship that you must have with a third party. So, and a good example that I can share with you is when your relationship is fully developed, the vendor can actually reach out to you, ask a question, get the response back from me in this particular case, but really, more ideally, before the vendor sent the question to me, they knew how I would respond. They knew the answer. Rather yet, the email or my response was just a protocol just to verify and confirm the right answer, but they really knew how I was going to respond. That's what I mean by a true relationship, a close relationship, where both parties know the right answer before posing the question, yet you have to pose the question just to pursue the protocol. Having a long-term relationship allows you to earn that right and that credibility with that third party. And with Interlink, it's one of the reasons that they've represented us for 12 years and will continue to represent us. So one of the indicators, and I heard Madison mention something about indicators as well, the feedback from their employee base. We do the same thing. We started out actually asking for survey results, assessing surveys, finding out how was their experience with the relocation. But the relationship has evolved to such a degree now that we don't even have to ask for a survey. Here's what I mean. We wait for unsolicited feedback purposely. We are so confident that we will get feedback based on experience that we sit back and wait for our relocated employees to provide the feedback. We stay engaged with them. We're always determining how the process is going anyway. So they volunteer in most cases how their experience has been with Interlink in this case. And it's proven to be positive time and time again. And that's just one more validation point for us that not only do we have the right company, but we vetted the right company, and that company is a fit for our culture. And with that, I'm finished. If you have any questions, I will gladly share with you.
Terrence, that was really awesome, and I appreciate the commercial, by the way. I don't know that we rehearsed the commercial piece of that, but you know, it is, you know, as you were talking through there, I'm just thinking about all of the, just in life, you know, the people cleaning my teeth and fixing my car, and you know, and they just don't understand what I'm looking for, and don't understand. And I know in this relocation world, because I hear it all the time, that there's companies out there that are living with, every time they have a relocation, they're dealing with somebody new, a different person's on the other end of the spectrum, which is not an easy place to be in it. And it doesn't align, kind of like you were talking about, Terrence, with it's impossible to learn culture and learn the ways you want to do business if they don't know who you are personally. So no, that was super awesome, Terrence, and I appreciate it.